Greetings, grinders. It's Sean Hugas, aka Duckie Succumbs. I think we're on episode 11. I can't believe we've gotten this far so far. And I already started saying far twice. Oh, well. It's fun. I can't believe we've gotten this far with one-on-one with Duckie. Today, we have a special show. We're bringing one of the original Grinders live hosts out from his studio to you people. He's also owner. What, you're an owner or CEO? Would that be the right title I'm using?
I mean, you can say both if you want.
Okay, how about Czar of Fantasy Outsiders, DraftKings Pro.
Did you say Fantasy Outsiders?
The Insiders. Did I say Fantasy Outsiders? Yeah, you're Fantasy Insiders. I'm already on a roll today. It's a little hot here today, I guess. I'm blaming that. My apartment gets really hot when I shut the door. I don't know what it is. Fantasy Insiders and DraftKings Pro and everything like that. I'm going to keep this all in because I don't mind. David Kitchen, Soccer Dave, welcome to this show.
Well, thank you for having me on your 11th and probably final episode.
It's amazing. You think I would get good at this by now. I mean, it's really... it's really amazing, but yeah. Well, no, I assume this will just be the beginning of better things for both of us, to say the least. So I have no doubt about that. But welcome to the show. I thought we'd start off. Well, first, I know this is a few months ago, but I'd start off with your beginnings and give you a moment to glorify in the wonder that was your Middle Tennessee State basketball team beating Michigan State. But we'll start by saying, so your beginnings were in college. You went to the Blue Raiders, Middle Tennessee State University, correct?
Yeah, why it's called Middle Tennessee, people don't understand. It's because literally the city of Murfreesboro is right in the middle of the state, but they don't call it Central. It's always just known as Middle Tennessee. The area is known as Middle Tennessee, and yeah, I went there for college and the best 6.5 years of my life.
I went about the same amount of time, so I understand. Sometimes you want to just enjoy things and take things easy. I get it.
Yeah.
You had two roommates there. I mean, we'll start with the first one, who's your co-partner at Fantasy Insiders. See, I learned. Yeah, Ben Pritchett that was there. Did you guys have the idea for your site when you were in college, or is this something that just kind of happened organically?
No, see, Ben actually got me into daily fantasy after college, shortly after college, and because we've always been big into regular seasonal fantasy, and I'm talking about like we would sit around our living room and just argue pointless stuff, and there wasn't anything as far as like daily fantasy. We argued about our seasonal teams. The only time we talked to each other would be because of our seasonal teams, and we did all three sports. We did basketball, baseball, and football. And in fact, we just got done planning. Now, since everyone's kind of spread out, we're going to have our 12th draft for our seasonal football league in Charleston at a beach house. So as we grow older, hopefully we get the opportunity to get together at least once a year. But working with Ben now, like Ben and I have been good buddies since we were in kindergarten. Like it's been that long of a friendship, and we have a million stories about getting upset at each other. Like one time I couldn't sit at his chair when I stayed over at his house. Like he's like, "That's my chair." Another time we got in fights at football practice where I threw some mud at him and he didn't like it. Like there's been all sorts of like these petty stories, classic stories that involve Ben. But when I decided to kind of start my own thing, I knew that Ben would be the guy that I would peg first, and he was. And so I find that Ben is the same guy that he was way back when. And that means that people pick on him. And so rather than like piling on, we did this like weird role reversal where I am defending him now instead of being the one that picks on him. So it's weird, but it is what it is. And I love Ben, and like there's just some things that he does that is ridiculous, and that's one of the reasons why I love him.
Is it harder to work with somebody in a business that you've known that long, that you could call him on so many things that he could call you on so many things? Or is it easier? Has it become a shorthand kind of situation?
I think it's a lot easier for us just because we know each other, and we know just kind of that we're not coming from a point of like selfishness or anything like that. Like we both have a genuine care for each other, even though, we make fun and all that. But it's something that if he has an issue, I'm going to definitely take a listen at what his issue is. And if I have an issue, most of the time he's going to at least hear me. He might not change. If I'm like, Ben, you can't really say that on Twitter. Like he's like, well, I'm going to say it. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I got to let you be you. So that's kind of how the relationship is. So.
You had another roommate when you were in college there, and he kind of went on into another career. Can you discuss that for a moment?
Yeah, so I had like three, Ben and another guy, and one other person. And then whenever they moved on and I was taking my time through undergrad, I moved in with some other friends. And one of the guys that I just got to know was his name was Steve Suddeth. And he later dropped out of MTSU, moved to Nashville, and long story short, now he was the poorest guy in college, and now he's like the richest guy out of our friends because he wrote the song "Stay" by Rihanna. His name is Mickey Echo, Mickyeekko, and he's signed by a major record label. He sang on the Grammys with Rihanna, and he's kind of doing his own thing now. So it's been really cool to see, and we still occasionally will text, but I know he's big time, so I don't bother him too much.
So you're not going to call the "I need to meet Rihanna" kind of angle that if he's in town with her or something like that, you're not going to do that?
No, I might eventually I might like blackmail him, because in college you do all sorts of stuff, including, for some reason, guy college roommates, or at least my guy friends, like sometimes we would just like, this was back when digital cameras were first like around, and so there was a few times where we were like, oh, let's get really like provocative with this and like see how far we can take it before someone calls chicken. So I've got a few photos of him in college, but the only thing is they also have me in them. But yeah, I might blackmail him one day.
Well, what would you be looking to get that you'd be willing to sacrifice that kind of situation?
Yeah, I mean, I would take like six figures.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I would take six.
Okay.
And let him have those pictures. And in fact, there's he had actually like some high school modeling photos that I found. And we gave him the hardest time, and I wish I would have taken like more pictures of those just to save them, because he burned it that night, and we never were able to make fun of him again for it.
Trust me, I have some photos from my past that are out there as well, and a certain person who I won't say has access to those photos, and they've been good so far. But there's an understanding to not release those photos. So nothing major. I'll survive it. But last thing I want is that to become like a meme or something.
Yeah, well, I look forward to the next Duckie succumb scandal.
Yeah, because God knows I need them. Yeah, it's I'm a big timer in this industry, and people want to take me down constantly. I know. So, to say the least. So you started your business, but one of the first things that you did before that was you started working with roto grinders. How did you get involved with roto grinders? Yeah,
so this is back when like there was a lot of fish, and for some reason I was one of the top NBA players. Not anymore. It's gone way past my skill set as far as how deep people are with their analytics and everything else.
Same boat. Don't I understand.
So back then I was kind of a bigger player, comparatively speaking, even though I play more volume now. Back then it was pretty big. And so Dan wanted to have me on a podcast. And I was like, sure, absolutely, great. I told I gave Katy Perry a wedgie in high school story. And he asked me, like, he had this idea about a show, like a live show. And
by the way, I'll get back to that other story in a minute.
Okay.
So don't worry.
We don't.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
there was like Crazy Gaby. I don't know. Like, can we say his name? Just bleep it out if we can't.
It's okay. It's okay. I think everybody knows him.
He actually had the first show, and so like it was a great concept. It was probably the best thing that Gaby's ever done for the industry is come up with this show, because it's now kind of the format of what Grinders Live is. And so he asked me if I would do it. I said absolutely. And so it was myself and Dan, and then Beer Makers Fan was going to do it, but he couldn't because of his ties with FanDuel at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were very like kind of exclusive. So it was just me and Dan, and one of the guys that had just won the basketball scene was a guy named Al Smizzle. And so we interviewed him, and he was like, if you guys like want to do this, like I'd want to do it also. So pretty soon it was me. I was hosting 5 days a week, alternating between Al and DB. So that's how it was for the first. Like, we were stoked when we hit 70 people in chat, and you can see like how far it's come since then. It's been pretty amazing to see the rise of Grinders Live.
I honestly can't wait till I hit 70 people. I look forward to it. Yeah, to say the least. But what was the difference between hosting a show with Dan and hosting a show with Al?
Back then, like, I really didn't know Al. I knew Dan. Like, I had gotten to know him. But there wasn't too much of a difference, to be honest. People thought that Al and I played well off each other. And so one of the people that actually, like, kind of saw that was Jason Robbins at DraftKings. And so when they kind of thought about the former DraftKings Pro program, that was one of the things. They had Pete and Al were the original two, and then they asked me to be the third, and I said, absolutely. So that was a cool concept that I don't think ever really took off, but that was one of the reasons why I was able to host like the sweat shows and the live event shows.
Were you aware there were other sweat shows going on at the same time you were hosting your sweat shows?
I mean, there was like one other, but we weren't too worried about that one.
Yeah, I don't think many people were.
That was the Tommy G Up All Night show?
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, that was I made Tommy G, damn it. Okay, no, that's not true.
Yeah, people like, I love Tommy. If you can like understand Tommy for what he is, which is a big goofball, then you love him. If you have a problem with him because he's arrogant or anything else that is wrong with him, well, send Dan Bach an email, because Dan's the one that gave him the platform in the first place.
Yeah, no, I love Tommy. I got no issues with him. I mean, we have some, but they're not anything that's personally between us. It's probably philosophy more than it is anything personal, I guess would be the general way to put it. So you're active on social media, I would say. I would say you have a pretty strong meme game going on.
Yeah, or as DB calls it, May.
Yeah, the May game, yes. Number one, what do you like to focus on most when you're doing that? Number two, how would you take somebody that's not as good at it? What would you recommend to them to be the things that they need to do to be better with the memes?
I mean, I think there are programs. So I started out in college or senior year of high school. I downloaded an illegal bootleg version of Photoshop back when it was like in its infancy. and then did some marketing work. I sold logos on eBay that I would create, and just self-taught myself about Photoshop. Well, now like everybody's good at Photoshop, it seems like.
Yeah.
And but it's nothing for me to just spend 5 to 10 minutes to just Photoshop somebody in a funny situation. My favorite characters are Dan Bach and Dink and Davis Maddock, like those, and sometimes Tommy. But it's almost like therapy for me. Like it used to be that like going out and watering the flowers was therapy, or gardening. Now it's like just being able to Photoshop something to give people a laugh. So you definitely have to be on your game to get it out and get it out quick. Thanks to Michael Jordan, there are a million people that want to Photoshop stuff right away and like actually have it done before it's even there. My word of advice to people would be just to do tutorials and just to understand the layer tool in Photoshop, or any photo editing tool, because that's really what, to Photoshop someone, that really is what it's about. Is you're basically taking one picture and you're cropping it out, everything else out, using the eraser or select tool, and you're putting that on layer 2, and layer 1 is like the original layer where you have a different picture, like the original picture. So that it's all about the layers. I wish I could say the same thing about my hair.
No, okay. I can't. I have luxurious hair, so I can't.
Yeah,
I can't. I could talk about that on this side, but yeah. But surprisingly enough, Photoshop, I'm not strong on Photoshop, even though I work in an industry that's about artwork and things like that. I usually just have other people do the Photoshop for me. It's just. It's easy when you're in a room with a bunch of professional designers. It's like, hey,
yeah.
put somebody's head on this, and they go, okay, no problem. It's easy, but I should learn it myself, I think, at some point. When will the crying Jordan meme end, by the way? Do you think it still has a lot more legs on it, or do you think it's
I don't know. Like he is like a different person to the new generation just because of this Photoshop. But I guess it's going to take like someone else creating something like different or better, or us moving on to something else. Like, I don't know. When I was in college, like it was viral videos that were all the thing, and they had the guy, the Maya he, Maya ha, Maya ha, like they're like he was with the Star Wars kids, and like they were everywhere at first, but eventually moved on. And maybe in a year or so, people will get so sick of the crying Jordan that they'll do something else. But it is an interesting piece of our current landscape as far as social media and everything else goes.
in terms of the Hall of Fame of memes? I get characters. I guess crying Jordan would obviously be number one. I know Kermit the Frog has some moments there, but what would be the other major people or characters that you would think?
Yeah, I mean,
are in the elite.
You've got the like every game. There's like the when a sports, and as far as the sports genre goes, like whenever a team loses, they'll always show someone in the crowd that is crying, and so it's basically you take that person, you Photoshop it on somebody's head or whatnot, and I think those are very popular. Other than that, I'm not really sure like what the current really popular one. It's really just Jordan. All the other ones have kind of faded away.
I mean, there's the Cobra. There's the Cobra pose. That had a little life there. You know what I'm talking about? The one when people put their arms on their head.
Yeah. It's like planking. I mean, it's just it's something that we all moved on. It's just Jordan has kind of stuck around.
Did you plank, by the way? I never was a planker.
I might have planked once. Maybe.
If anybody can find a video or a picture of David planking, please feel free to put it up on Twitter, I guess, at some point.
Yeah, but, you can find it. I don't think
I mean, there's all these elusive pictures we're learning tonight that are out there in the universe, to say the least. But have you thought about moving out of Tennessee? Are you a Tennessee person for life, would you say, or would you?
It would take an awesome situation. We have so when I was living in Murfreesboro, I was coaching at the time, and my wife that I met, who was a teacher, she was teaching there and living in my old hometown, just outside of Nashville. And so when we got married, I moved in to her house. We refinanced in both of our names, and like we have my parents that were 2 miles down the road. We recently moved again, but there's something nice when you have kids about having your family, immediate family there, because it's just like sometimes it can get very overwhelming. And with family, they come over and they kind of help you through things. So that has definitely been nice. And if for us to move out away from that security would take like just an amazing opportunity. I've always thought about like going for 1 or 2 years. She taught for a summer in Ghana, and I'm not sure about like Africa, but like Hawaii, maybe. Like,
yeah, I was gonna. So Ghana or Hawaii, yeah, I would.
But like doing a tour and just like kind of leaving everything behind and just doing a year-long tour. We travel and we're able to kind of work remotely, that sort of thing would be something really cool. One of my old roommates who actually lived with the guy now was Mickey Echo. He just moved to Nashville, but before that he took a year. They lived in Austin, Texas. They sold their house. They bought a camper. And he and his wife traveled all over the United States. And so that's cool. I mean, that they did it before they retired. So that's something that if the opportunity presents itself before my girls graduate, then great. If not, I will just do something cool after they graduate.
How old are your girls now, by the way?
They are 2 and 6 months.
Oh, so you have a little time then, to say the least.
Yeah.
But was your wife in Ghana? Were you married at the time when your wife was there? Were you dating? What was the situation?
No, she was. This was like her student teaching, and she actually is a cougar. So she is 4 years older than me. So I mean, at that time, I was just getting into college.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so you didn't have to worry about your spouse or girlfriend living in Ghana for a year. I can see that being a problem if you were going through that. Nothing against Ghana. I don't want the people of Ghana to be writing to me at some point.
Yeah, the people of Ghana are great, according to my wife, and they make awesome chocolate.
See, you learn something on the show every time you watch it or listen to it. So that's great. So, okay, just do 30. 30 seconds. Let's just go ahead, do a quick. You gave a wedgie to Katy Perry because I have to ask.
People that have or don't follow me, choose not to follow me. And number one, it's a smart move. Number two, they haven't probably seen the picture of me and Katy Perry in high school. So that did happen in high school. Katy Perry was recording an album with one of the girls in our friend group, like her dad was producing it. And so she hung out for the summer with us. At that time, her name was Katie Hudson. And we were in a Sonic parking lot, and, as teenagers do, they flirt. And she spanked me, and I gave her a wedgie, and she had a white thong on. And I wasn't even thinking about it. Now I'm like, what were you doing? But yeah, that was definitely and I honestly, I kind of forgot about her until someone was like, that Katie Hudson is now Katy Perry. I'm like, wow. Because it wasn't just that night we hung out. We hung out off and on that summer. And she pierced my girlfriend's nose one time, and it got infected. There's all sorts of stuff. But it's been definitely interesting how the Katy Perry, me giving her a wedgie and us hanging out has turned into this bigger thing. I had a guy who he went to a different high school in Middle Tennessee, but he sent me a message the other day and he was like, hey, 2 questions. Number one, did you kiss Katy Perry? That was the first question. He's like, no, and he's number one, did Katy Perry go to your high school? And number 2, did you kiss Katy Perry? And I was like, like no to both. But if that's the rumor that's floating around where you and people are debating, because he said they were debating, like that's pretty epic how it can get kind of twisted out of proportion. Blown up.
It's not the worst rumor you could have going around. I mean, it does give you some street cred.
It has drastically increased my street cred because Lord knows there's none of it to begin with.
Oh, don't sell yourself short. Come on. Okay. You're Soccer Dave. Come on.
You're right. You're right. I got tons of street cred.
Yeah. So, well, I guess things. This is a good show, except for the opening, except for that horrid opening, which I'm going to keep. I'm just going to keep it.
It's like on the podcast I cannot do a closing. I cannot do an ending, and so I'm going to be taking notes. In here because like it's just been a running joke where I cannot end a show properly.
Oh no! I tend to just stumble down a flight of stairs when I do my endings too.
Well, good. At least I'll feel better about it.
I really don't go for I really don't go for professional. If you ever have seen Night Sweats, and I know you don't, you're busy with your own show, but I pretty much would let Dean do the ending of every show and probably the opening. Now that I think about it, I just would kind of waltz it in the middle at some point. It was just easier that way. And not that Dean is Mr. Professional or anything like that. He's casual about it too, but compared to me, it's just which you're about to find out. Here comes my ending. So
going out the same way we came in.
I know, stumbling and falling. That's the way I like doing it. So it's but let's give it a shot. Thank you, Dave, for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure, an honor, a privilege, even I would go with. And next week, I do not have a planned guest yet. I've talked to a couple people. Got one I'm trying to get. Let's see if I can get that person. But lately, I've been noticing it's hard. There's a few people that just will not do this show.
Is it because
you can guess who those people are? But yeah, I think they tend to be more of they don't want to be on tape or anything like that. They like to be Twitter's enough for them, I guess would be a nice way to put it.
Okay.
So
you need to reel in a big
just go for that.
Like an exclusive with Love's Bases.
Yeah. So oh, well, maybe I'll have to try Love's Bases. Yeah. I don't think I've put in a formal call yet, but
well, whatever those other guests are, their chances are way better than Love's Bases. He will not do it at all. And it sucked because he hates doing that stuff. But he was forced to with the DraftKings thing because he made the final 10. Well, he ended up taking home the same prize that he would have if he got like 15th or 16th. And except he had to do all the PR stuff. So, yeah, but if you can get him, though, that'd be great.
Well, let me just, before I end that, let me ask you this. If you had to do the PR stuff and things like that, I know you did the sweat shows when you were in the DraftKings tournaments and things like that. How much would you prepare for your little 2-minute video, I guess that would be? What would be your main idea you'd want to express when you were
I don't think I would prepare, knowing me, I don't think I would prepare at all for someone like interviewing me.
Yeah.
Especially if I knew it was no longer going to be on ESPN. It went from like this big thing on ESPN to we'll show it on Fox Sports 1.
Oh.
So
all right. Well,
so I wouldn't
at 1 a.m. or something like that. Yeah,
I probably wouldn't have prepared at all for it.
He got like 10 less viewers than the Knife Show on Shop at Home Network or something like that. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm going to end it here. Thanks, everybody. We'll have a show again next week, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.